Chapter 2. It was nearly 8 o'clock. The two young men hurried to Bacalhaos to arrive before Luzin, resuming as soon as they hit the street. Who the hell was that Rodia? Rasolo. Sweetheart, look, the landowner my sister used to work for as a governess. Oh, what a surprise! 20 seconds at the start. I haven't started properly yet, and these 20 seconds fucking came out of nowhere. The landowner my sister used to work for as a governess. He targeted her with his unwanted advances until his wife, Marfa Petrovna, kicked Dunia out. She actually apologized to Dunia later, but she just died suddenly. We were talking about her this morning. I don't know why, but that man terrifies me. He came straight here after the funeral. He's incredibly strange and clearly up to something. We need to protect Dunia from him. That's what I wanted to tell you. You hear me? Resume him. Protect her? What could he possibly do to harm her? Thank you for trusting me with this, Roria. We will protect her. Where is he staying? Raskolnikov. I don't know. Resuming. Why didn't you ask? What a waste. Don't worry, I'll find out. Raskolnikov, after a long silence. Did you actually see him? Resuming. Yeah, I noticed him. Got a good look at him too. Raskolnikov insisting. You really saw him? Clearly? Resuming. Yes, I remember him perfectly. I know him out of 1,000. I don't forget a face. They fell silent again. Raskolnikov muttering. All right. To be honest, I keep thinking he might have been an hallucination. Resuming. What do you mean? I don't follow. Raskolnikov with a forced smile. Well, everyone says I'm losing my mind. I just thought that maybe I'm really mad and I was looking at a ghost, you know. What I'm saying, Holmes? Resuming. What are you talking about even? Raskolnikov. Who knows? Maybe I'm crazy and everything that's happened these past few days is just a product of my imagination. Resuming. Oh, Rory, you are getting worked up again. Look, what did he actually say? Why did he come? Raskolnikov didn't answer. Resuming thought for a moment before changing the subject. Resuming. All right, let me fill you in on my end. I went by your place while you were asleep, had dinner, and then headed over to Porphyry's. Zamiro was still hanging around. I tried to bring things up, but I completely butchered it. I couldn't find the right words. They act like they don't understand. They can't understand. But they aren't even embarrassed about it. I dragged Porphyry to the window to talk to him directly, but it was all useless. We just avoided eye contact. Finally, I shook my fist in his ugly face. I told him that, cousin or not, I'd cave his skull in. He just stared at me. I cursed him out and walked out. It was incredibly stupid. I didn't say a word to Zamiro, but As I was walking downstairs, a brilliant idea hit me. Why are we even stressing? If you were in actual danger, that's one thing. Why do you care? Screw them. We're going to have the last laugh. If I were you, I'd mess with them even more. Imagine how humiliated they'll be later. Let them burn. We can deal with them physically later. But for now, let's just laugh at them. Raskolnikov. Sure. But what will you say tomorrow? Raskolnikov thought, looking at him. Strangely, it hadn't occurred to him until now to wonder how Razumihin would react once the truth came out. For Friday's office drama felt utterly trivial now compared to everything else. In the corridor, they ran right into Luzin. He had arrived at 8 o'clock sharp and was searching for the room number. Without a word of greeting, all three walked in together. The young man entered first, while Pyotr Petrovich lingered in the passage to meticulously take off his coat for appearances. Pulcheria Alexandrovna immediately hurried to the door to greet him. While Dunya welcomed her brother, Pyotr Petrovich stepped inside and offered the ladies a rigid, overly dignified bow. He looked visibly tense and irritated. Pulcheria Alexandrovna, masking her own awkwardness, quickly ushered everyone to sit around a table where a samovar was boiling. Dunya and Luzin sat directly across from one another. Razumihin and Raskolnikov sat opposite Pulcheria Alexandrovna, putting Razumihin next to Luzin and Raskolnikov beside his sister. A heavy silence filled the room. Pyotr Petrovich deliberately pulled out a heavily scented handkerchief and blew his nose with the dramatic flair of a good man who felt deeply insulted but was determined to demand answers. Out in the hall, he had briefly considered keeping his overcoat on and walking out to teach the ladies a harsh lesson about disrespecting his wishes. But his need for control won out. If they had valiantly disobeyed his letter, he wanted to know why. He could always punish them later. Pyotr Petrovich officially to Bulgaria. I trust your journey went well. Bulgaria. Oh, very well, Pyotr Petrovich. No, Pyotr Petrovich. I'm glad to hear it. And Avdotia Ramnovna isn't completely exhausted. Dunya. I'm young and strong. I don't get tired. It was a massive strain on mother. Pyotr Petrovich. That is inevitable. Our national railways are terribly long. Mother Russia is a vast country. Despite my best intentions, I couldn't meet you yesterday. I hope everything went smoothly regardless. Bulgaria with a sharp edge. Oh no, Pyotr Petrovich, it was actually deeply disheartening. If Dmitry Polkovich hadn't been sent to us, honestly, by God himself, we would have been completely lost. Here he is, by the way, Dmitry Parkovich Razumihin. Pyotr Petrovich, glancing sideways at Razumihin with pure hostility. We had the pleasure yesterday. He scolded and fell silent. Luzin was the type of man who was highly rehearsed and polite on the surface, but the moment he faced any resistance, He completely froze up, turning into a rigid wall rather than an elegant conversationalist. The room went dead silent again. Raskolnikov remained stubbornly mute. Junior refused to spark small talk, and resuming had nothing to say. Sensing the suffocating tension, Pulcheria Alexandrovna panicked and reached for the most dramatic piece of news she had. Pulcheria. Marfa Petrona is dead. Have you heard? Pyotr Petrovich. Of course, I was informed immediately. In fact, I came to let you know that Arkady Ivanovich Svidrigailov packed up and rushed straight to Petersburg immediately after his wife's funeral. I have excellent authority on that. Dunia, alarmed, looking at her mother. To St. Petersburg? He's here? Pyotr Petrovich. Yes, indeed. And given how fast he left and the circumstances surrounding it, it's safe to assume he has an agenda. Bulgaria. Good heavens! Won't you leave Junior in peace even here? Pyotr Petrovich. I don't think either of you have anything to worry about, unless, of course, you chose to engage with him yourselves. With him yourselves. As for me, I'm on my guard and I'm currently tracking down where he's staying. Bulgaria. Oh, Pyotr Petrovich, you have no idea how much you terrified me. I only saw him twice, but I thought he was monstrous. I am convinced he's the reason Marfa Petrovna died. Pyotr Petrovich. We can prove that for certain. I have precise data. I don't deny that he likely accelerated her death through the sheer moral shock of his behavior. And I entirely agree with your assessment of his character. I don't know his current financial state or what Marfa Petrovna left him yet. I will find out very soon. But if he has any money here in Petersburg, he will instantly sink right back into his old vices. He is the most depraved, pathetic specimen of his class. In fact, I have good reason to believe that Marfa Petrona, who was foolish enough to fall for him and pay off his massive debts 8 years ago, saved him in an even bigger way. Through her intense influence and bribery, she managed to hush up a criminal charge against him involving a case of horrific, fatal brutality that should have sent him straight to Siberia. That is the kind of man you're dealing with. If you want to know the truth, Bulgaria. Good heavens! Raskolnikov listened intently, adjusting his gaze. Dunya, stern and correct. Are you telling the absolute truth? Do you actually have solid evidence of this? Pyotr Petrovich, I'm only repeating what Marfa Petrovna told me in strict confidence. Legally speaking, the case was messy. There was, and still is, a foreign woman named Raslich living here who runs a shady small lending and commission business. Sverelov had a close, mysterious relationship with her for a long time. She had a niece living with her, a deaf and dumb girl who was only 14 or 15. Raslich hated the child, starved her, and beat her mercilessly. One day, the girl was found hanging in the attic. The official verdict was suicide, and the case was closed. However, later on, information surfaced that the child had been violently assaulted by Svidrigailov. Granted, it wasn't officially proven. The tip came from another German woman of questionable character, whose word couldn't be trusted, and no official report was ever made to the police because Marfa Patrona threw enough money and influence at it to keep it as neighborhood gossip. Still, it tells you everything, and you surely heard the story. Editor Renona, while you worked there, about their servant Philip, who died from abuse 6 years ago. During. Actually, I heard that Philip hanged himself. Pyro Petrovich. Exactly. But what drove him to suicide was the systematic, severe psychological torment inflicted by Mr. Svidrigailov. Dunya, dryly. I don't know about that. I only heard that Philip was deeply depressed and sort of backyard philosopher. The other servants used to say he read himself stupid and that he took his own life more because of Sregelov's relentless mocking than actual physical abuse. While I was there, Sregelov treated the staff well, and they were actually fond of him, even if they blamed him for what happened to Philip. Pyro Petrovich with a condescending smirk. I see you suddenly decided to jump to his defense, Aruda. The man is undeniably clever and manipulative when it comes to women. Mafa Petrona's strange death is proof enough of that. My only goal here was to warn you and your mother, because you can absolutely expect him to try something. Personally, I'm convinced he will end up back in a debtor's prison. Marfa Petrona had no intention of leaving him anything substantial, prioritizing her children instead. Whatever it did get, whatever it did get, is likely a meager pittance that won't last a guy with his lifestyle a year. Dunya. Pyro Petrovich, I'm asking you to drop the subject of Mr. Svidrigailov. It makes me sick. Raskolnikov, breaking his silence. He just came to see me. Everyone gasped and whipped around to look at him. Even Lucien sat up. The Raskolnikov, continuing. About an hour and a half ago, he walked into my room while I was asleep, woke me up, and introduced himself. He was perfectly relaxed and cheerful, and said he completely expects us to become friends. More importantly, Junior, he is desperate for a meeting with you and asked for my help to set it up. He has a specific proposal for you, which he explained to me. He also wanted you to know that a week before her death, Marfa Petrona left you 3,000 rubles in her will. You will be able to claim that money very soon. Pulcheria, crossing herself. Thank God, Dunya. Pray for us all. Pyro Petrovich, stunned. That cannot be a fact. Dunya. Rodia, tell us the rest. What else? Raskolnikov. He said he isn't rich himself, and that his main estate went to the kids, who are with an aunt. He mentioned he is staying somewhere near my place, but I didn't ask for the address. Pulcheria, panicking. But what does he want to propose to Dunia? Did he tell you? Raskolnikov, yes. Pulcheria, what it is? What is it? What is it? What is it? Raskolnikov, I'll tell you later. He stopped talking and focused entirely on his tea. I said, Pyro Petrovich checked his watch and stood up. Pyro Petrovich with visible attitude. I have a business conflict to attend to, so I will get out of your way. Dunia, don't leave, Pyro Petrovich. You plan to spend the evening here. Besides, you wrote that you wanted to have a serious talk with Martha. Pyro Petrovich, sitting back down heavily, still holding his hat. Precisely, Audoria Romanona, I absolutely intended to discuss a matter of extreme gravity with you and your respected mother. Since your brother Filius cannot speak openly about Mr. Svidrigailo proposals in my presence, I too do not wish to discuss matters of the highest importance in front of others. Furthermore, my most explicit and urgent request has been flat out ignored. He crossed his arms and went into a moody, silent pout. Dunia, the only reason my brother is here, despite your request, is because I insisted on it. He wrote that my brother insulted you. I believe that needs to be cleared up right now, so you two can make peace. If Rodia really did insult you, he should and will apologize. Pyro Petrovich, doubling down. There are some insults, Aurora Manona, that no amount of goodwill can wipe clean. There is a line in every relationship that you do not cross. Once it's crossed, there is no going back. Dunia impatiently. That's not what I'm talking about, Pyro Petrovich. Please understand that our entire future depends on this being sorted out today. I'm telling you straight up, I cannot look at this any other way. If you care about me at all, this drama ends tonight. No matter how difficult it is. I repeat, if my brother is in the wrong, he will ask for your forgiveness. Pyro Petrovich, growing angrier. I'm amazed you would even frame it like that. While I adore and respect you, I'm entirely within my rights to dislike a member of your family. Just because I'm asking for your hand in marriage doesn't mean I have to accept conditions that compromise my dignity. Dunya with deep feeling. Oh, stop being so easily offended. Pyro Petrovich, be the rational, generous man I thought you were and want to believe you are. I have promised myself to you. I'm your fiancé. Trust me on this. And believe me, I can look at this fairly. My brother is just as shocked by me taking the judge's seat as you are. When I forced him to come tonight after reading your letter, I didn't tell him a thing about what I planned to do. Look at the reality. If you two cannot make peace, I have to choose between you. It's either you or him. That's the choice before both of you. I cannot afford to make the wrong choice, and I won't, for your sake. I would have to cut off my brother. For his sake, I would have to cut off you. Tonight, I will find out for certain if he is truly a brother to me, and from you, I will find out if I am actually precious to you. If you respect me, and if you are the right husband for me. Pyro Petrovich, Evdodia Romanona, your words are entirely inappropriate and frankly offensive, given the position I hold in your life. Setting aside the fact that you are insultingly placing me on the exact same level as an arrogant boy, you are openly admitting the possibility of breaking your promise to marry me. Saying you or he proves just how little I actually mean to you. I cannot tolerate this given our arrangement and the obligations we share. Junior, flushing with anger. What? I'm literally weighing your interest against the most precious relationship of my entire life. The person who made up my whole life. And you are offended because I think I'm making too little account of you. Raskolnikov let out a sarcastic smirk when Razumin shifted uncomfortably in his chair. Pyro Petrovich ignored the criticism entirely. Junior's anger only seemed to feed his own self-righteous irritation. Pyro Petrovich sententially, love for your future husband ought to outweigh your love for a brother. You cannot put us on the same level. However, even though I stated I wouldn't speak openly in your brother's presence, I'm now forced to demand a necessary explanation from your mother regarding a direct hit to my dignity. Yesterday, he turned sharply to Pulcheria. Your son, in front of Mr. Razukdikin, or whatever his name is. Razukdikin. Rascal ka naam hai na. Mr. Razukdikin, or whatever his name is, excuse me. I forgot your surname. He gave a dismissive note to her resume, insulted me by completely twisting a point I made during a private coffee conversation with you. I merely stated that marrying a poor girl who has known real hardship is more advantageous than from a martial perspective than marrying one raised in luxury, as it builds moral character. Your son intentionally blew my words out of proportion, made them look ridiculous, and accused me of malicious intent, clearly relying on what you wrote to him in your letters. I would be thrilled, Pulcheria Alexandrovna, if you could prove me wrong and reassure me. Kindly tell me exactly what terms you used to repeat my words to Rodion Romanovich. Pulcheria, flattery. I I don't remember exactly. I just repeated them how I understood them. I don't know how Rory relayed them to you. Perhaps he exaggerated. Pyro Petrovich. He couldn't have exaggerated unless you prompted him to. Pulcheria, gaining confidence with dignity. Pyro Petrovich, the simple proof that Dunia and I didn't interpret your words in a malicious way is the fact that we are sitting here right now. Dunia, good point, mother. Pyro Petrovich, defensive. So, this is my fault again. Pulcheria, Alexandrova. Well, Pyro Petrovich, you keep blaming Rodion, but you just wrote a blatant lie about him in your own letter. Pyro Petrovich. I don't recall writing anything false. Raskolnikov, cutting in sharply, staring straight ahead, refusing to listen. You wrote that yesterday I gave the money not to the widow of the man who was killed, which is what actually happened, but to his daughter, a girl I had literally never seen until yesterday. You wrote that specifically to cause a rift between me and my family, and you threw in disgusting insults for the character of a girl you don't even know. That is a cheap, malicious slander. Pyro Petrovich, shaking with rage. Excuse me, sir. I detail your behavior in my letter solely because your sister and mother asked for my impression of you. As for what you're referencing, point out one single word of falsehood. Can you deny that you threw away your money? Can you deny that there are highly questionable characters in that family, regardless of how tragic the situation is? Raskolnikov, in my opinion, you, all your supposed virtues, aren't worth of the little finger of that tragic girl you are throwing stones at. Pyro Petrovich, would you go so far as to let her associate with your own mother and sister then? Raskolnikov, I already have. If you want to know, I made her sit down at the table today with Mother and Dunia. Bulgaria. Rhodia! Dunia flashed crimson, and resuming scowled, losing a smile with pure condescending sarcasm. Pyro Petrovich, you can see for yourself, Adoria Romanona, whether it is possible for us to coexist. I assume this discussion is now permanently over. I will take my leave so I don't get in the way of your precious family intimacy and private secrets. He stood up and grabbed his hat. But as I leave, I demand that I be spared this kind of ambush meetings and compromises in the future. I'm addressing you specifically, respected Pulcheria Alexandrovna, since my letter was written to you and no one else. Pulcheria Alexandrovna stood her ground, deeply offended. Pulcheria Alexandrovna, you seem to think we are completely under your thumb, Pyro Petrovich. Julia already explained why we didn't follow your request, and she had the best intentions. The way you write to me sounds like you are barking orders. Are we supposed to treat you every whim as a command? Your every whim as a command? Let me tell you the opposite. You should be showing us extra delicacy and consideration right now. We gave up everything and came up here relying entirely on you, which puts us completely at your mercy. Pyro Petrovich snide and biting. That's not entirely true, Pulcheria Alexandrovna, especially not right now. Now that the news of Marfa Petrovna's legacy has conveniently arrived, which clearly explains the sudden new tone you're using with me. Dunia, snapping. Based on that disgusting comment, it's safe to assume you were actually counting on our helplessness. Pyro Petrovich. Well, I certainly can count on it now. I certainly can count on it now. And I explicitly do not want to interrupt to deep dive into the secret proposals of Arkady Ivanovich Svitrigailov, which he has filtered through your brother and which clearly seem to interest you deeply. Pulcheria. Good heavens! Resuming practically launched out of his chair. Raskolnikov. Aren't you ashamed of yourself for ever considering this guy, sister? Dunia. I'm ashamed, Gloria. She turned to Luzin white with fury. Pyro Petrovich, get out. Pyro Petrovich, get out. Luzin was completely blindsided. He had far too much confidence in his own leverage and the perceived weakness of his targets. He couldn't grasp what was happening. He turned pale, his lips trembling. Pyro Petrovich, Avdoria Romanovna, if I walk out that door right now after being dismissed like this, you can count on the fact that I'm never coming back. Think very carefully about what you're doing. My word is absolute. Dunia, jumping out of the seat. What absolute arrogance! I don't want you to come back. Pyro Petrovich, completely unable to believe the engagement was over. What? So that's how it is? That's how it stands. You know I could protest this. Pulcheria Alexandrovna intervening fiercely. What right do you have to speak to her like that? What are you going to protest? What rights do you even have? Do you think I would give my Dunia to a man like you? Go away. Leave us alone for good. We were wrong to ever agree to this engagement, and I blame myself most of all. Pyro Petrovich, furious, throwing a tantrum. But you bound me to a promise, Pulcheria Alexandrovna, and now you're backing out. Because of this arrangement, I have incurred serious expenses. This final petty complaint was so vintage, losing, that Raskolnikov, though pale with anger, couldn't control himself and burst out laughing. Pulcheria Alexandrona was entirely down. Pulcheria Alexandrona. Expenses? What expenses? Are you talking about a luggage trunk? The train conductor brought it for free as a favor to you. Good grief, we bound you? What are you playing at, Pyro Petrovich? You bound us hand and foot, not the other way around. Dunya. Enough, mother. Please don't waste your breath. Pyro Petrovich, do us a favor, just leave. Pyro Petrovich losing all composure. I'm leaving, but I will have the last word. Your mother seems to have completely forgotten that I agreed to marry you after the local town gossip had utterly destroyed your reputation by ignoring public opinion for its sake and restoring your social standing. I absolutely expected a proper return. And frankly, I looked for gratitude. My eyes are finally open. I see now that I acted incredibly recklessly by ignoring what everyone else was saying about you. Resuming leaping up. Does this guy want his head cracked open? Junior. You are a mean, toxic man. Rascal, holding Resuming back. Not a word, don't move. He walked straight up to Luzin, standing inches away, speaking quietly and deliberately. Leave the room right now. Not another syllable, or else. Pyro Petrovich stared into Raskolnikov's eyes for a few tense seconds, his face twitching with pure rage. Then he turned on his heel, walked out. Rarely had a man left a room carrying such deep, poisonous hatred as Luzin felt for Raskolnikov in that moment. He blamed him entirely for the fallout. Yet, as he walked down the stairs, he still naively convinced himself that his case wasn't completely lost, and that where the women were concerned, everything could still very well indeed be fixed. Fuck that. End it now. Right now.